Ethan Miller was the kind of man everyone admired from afar. A self-made millionaire in his mid-30s. He owned several thriving businesses, drove luxury cars, and lived in a sprawling mansion overlooking the city. To the world, he looked like he had everything. But behind closed doors, his life was defined by quiet struggle. Ethan was also a single father. His wife Claire had passed away in a tragic car accident 5 years earlier, leaving him to raise their only daughter, Lily, on his own. Lily was 7 now, with soft brown curls and the sweetest smile. But she was wheelchair-bound due to a spinal condition. Taking care of her was Ethan's greatest joy and his greatest challenge. Though he adored his daughter, Ethan couldn't escape the gnawing feeling of guilt. He worked long hours to provide the best medical care and education for Lily. But that meant he was often absent during the little moments, bedtime stories, laughter at dinner, even just sitting with her while she played. His wealth gave Lily comfort, but it couldn't give her the warmth of a mother's touch. One rainy Saturday afternoon, Ethan decided to do something rare, take Lily out for lunch. They drove to a small family-owned diner tucked away from the main streets. It wasn't fancy, but it was cozy, filled with the smell of coffee and fresh pancakes. Ethan thought Lily would enjoy the change. As soon as they entered, people's eyes turned toward them, toward Lily's wheelchair specifically. Ethan noticed but didn't react. He had grown used to the stares. Lily, shy and sensitive, kept her gaze low. A young waitress with kind eyes and a messy bun walked up to their table. Her name tag read Sophie. She knelt down to Lily's level and smiled warmly. "Hi there, sweetheart. My name's Sophie. Can I get you something yummy today?" Lily's face brightened. "Pancakes, please. With strawberries." "And for you, sir?" Sophie asked Ethan. "Coffee black." Sophie hurried off, and Ethan watched her interact with other customers. She wasn't like the other waitresses he'd seen, rushed and mechanical. She laughed with people, remembered their names, and somehow made the little diner feel like home. When Sophie returned with their food, Ethan reached to help Lily eat, but Sophie gently placed a hand on his arm. "May I?" she asked softly. Ethan hesitated. He wasn't used to strangers stepping in, but Sophie knelt beside Lily, cut her pancakes into bite-sized pieces, and patiently fed her. She didn't flinch at the wheelchair. She didn't show pity. She simply treated Lily like a little girl who deserved kindness. Ethan sat in silence, overwhelmed. For years, he had carried the burden of caring for Lily alone, convinced no one else would understand. Watching Sophie that day cracked something open inside him. Over the following weeks, Ethan found excuses to visit the diner with Lily. Each time, Sophie greeted them with the same warmth. She learned Lily's favorite foods, told her funny stories, and even brought crayons so they could draw together. Lily began to laugh more, real laughter, the kind Ethan hadn't heard in years. One evening, as Sophie tied Lily's hair into 2 playful braids, Ethan realized his daughter trusted Sophie in a way she rarely trusted anyone. "You're really good with her," Ethan said quietly. Sophie smiled. "I grew up helping my little brother. He had cerebral palsy. Taking care of him taught me patience. Lily reminds me of him. Brave, gentle, and stronger than most people realize." Her words touched Ethan deeply. He had always feared Lily would never find someone outside of him who truly understood her struggles, but Sophie did. Despite his growing admiration for Sophie, Ethan felt conflicted. He was used to people wanting something from him: money, connections, influence. Could he trust that Sophie's kindness was genuine? She was just a waitress living paycheck to paycheck, and he was a wealthy businessman with a complicated life. But then he thought of Lily. His daughter's world had blossomed since Sophie entered it. Ethan couldn't deny the change. One rainy evening, Ethan lingered after dinner at the diner. When Sophie came to clear the table, he finally asked, "Would you consider spending more time with Lily? Maybe outside the diner?" Sophie looked surprised. "Like babysitting?" "Not exactly, more like being her companion. She lights up around you. I haven't seen her this happy in years." Sophie hesitated, but the sincerity in Ethan's voice convinced her. "I'd be honored." Sophie soon became a regular part of their lives. She took Lily to the park, read her bedtime stories, and helped with school projects. Lily thrived, her grades improved, her confidence grew, and she smiled more often. Ethan, too, found himself changing. For the first time since Claire's death, he allowed someone into his guarded world, Sophie wasn't intimidated by his wealth or his status. She treated him like a man, not a millionaire. One night after Sophie had tucked Lily into bed, Ethan walked her to the door. "You've given us something I thought we'd lost forever," he admitted. "You've brought light back into this house." Sophie's eyes softened. Sometimes all it takes is someone willing to care. Their hands brushed, and in that small moment, Ethan felt the possibility of love again. Months passed, and Sophie's bond with Lily only deepened. Ethan knew he couldn't ignore what his heart was telling him. He wanted Sophie to be more than Lily's companion. He wanted her to be part of their family. One Sunday morning, Ethan invited Sophie to join them for breakfast at the mansion. Nervous but excited, she arrived to find the dining table set with fresh flowers. Lily greeted her with a big hug. As they ate, Ethan cleared his throat. "Sophie, I need to say something important. When I first met you, I was just grateful for the way you cared for Lily. But over time, I realized you've given us both more than kindness. You've given us hope, love, and a reason to smile again." Sophie's eyes widened, her heart pounding. Ethan continued, "I don't want you to be just part of our lives occasionally. I want you to be part of our lives forever. Sophie, would you consider building a future with us?" Tears filled Sophie's eyes as she nodded, overwhelmed. "Yes, I'd love nothing more." Lily squealed with joy, clapping her little hands. "Does this mean I get two parents again?" Ethan hugged his daughter tightly, his voice breaking. "Yes, sweetheart. That's exactly what it means." The news of Ethan's decision shocked everyone who knew him. The millionaire single dad, admired but distant, had chosen a waitress not for her beauty or wealth, but for her heart. People whispered, speculated, even judged. But none of it mattered. What mattered was that Lily finally had the warmth she had been missing. Ethan finally had a partner who understood him, and Sophie finally had a place where her compassion was not only valued but cherished. Their story became a reminder to everyone who heard it. Sometimes the greatest riches in life are not found in money, but in love, kindness, and the courage to open one's heart again. And so the millionaire, the waitress, and the little girl began a new chapter together, one filled with laughter, healing, and the kind of love that truly lasts forever.